Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Allergy Actually. If your family loves skiing, but your kid turns into a snot fountain day one, or if you yourself turn into a snot fountain, this is your survival guide. So we're excited to talk to you today about skiing and other outdoor winter sports. Skiing is the one that comes to mind for me because I personally come from a family that loves to ski. We own a home that's close to a ski resort, and I personally turn into a snot fountain. For me, I don't have to deal with it with my children, it's myself. So welcome to this episode.
It's so funny. I live in such a flat area that we're lucky to find a decent sledding hill, but we've gotten a fair bit of snow this season, and my kids love going outside, having snowball fights with the neighbor kiddos, and goodness, mine are, and they get it from me, honestly. They're at the little snot factories too.
I was just going to say, I'm more of an après ski girl myself. But like you, Kara, love being outside with the kids when they're playing, going ice skating, building snowmen. And it is like a lot of people when they're in the cold, they're going from hot to cold, that transition, it really drums up runny faucet nose. So what are we advising people who, if that happens and they don't want that to happen, it's embarrassing for some reason, how can they prevent that?
So for this, and I have a history of non-allergic rhinitis, which we've talked about in other episodes, but that basically means on a molecular level, it occurs due to a different trigger than a true allergy to something like pollen or something like that. And so the mechanism by which this, what we call vasomotor rhinitis, where you're having a lot of nasal drainage due to the environment around you, and different things can trigger it. But in this case, cold air is happening for me and a ton of people out there. And it is not so much a stuffy nose at all, but it is literally dripping. So one thing I do when I'm skiing, again, I go very frequently, and I'm the mom at the back. I ski really slow now, and I usually have a little backpack attached, but I also recommend a coat that has many pockets. And no matter what meds we need, we still need to have some stuff with us on the slope, whether or not you pre-med very well. So personally, before I go, I make sure that I have packed myself well. And I don't know if that's something that you guys do, but I always make sure I have a pack of tissues, and I really like the Kleenex with lotion. Those seem to work better for me and my family. I always have my Aquaphor because when I'm blowing my nose, I always somehow wipe my mouth and it gets a little irritated. So I make sure that I have Aquaphor to put on my lips. And before I go, I always use a nose spray that's a prescription spray that's called Ipratropium. And you take it about 30 minutes prior to whatever you're going to do that causes your nasal drainage to happen. So for this episode, it's skiing. For other things, it can be eating, things like that. I use it a lot before eating, but that is my routine. So what other tips do you guys have?
I think the other thing that I've noticed, if I'm coming out of a cold, my asthma has been flared up a little bit. I definitely make sure to definitely have my albuterol inhaler with me, or my Symbicort. There's kind of two different ways that we can use those as needed inhalers now. And if I'm flared up, I will use 2 puffs before I go outside too.
That's a really good point. I have exercise-induced asthma as well, and I didn't even think of that, but I always use an albuterol inhaler before, and then I keep it with me, as well as a spacer. And you keep hearing me say all of these things that I keep in my jacket. And yes, I've been stopped multiple times. I had a red jacket in the past. They thought I was ski patrol because because of the red and the bulk of all of the stuff that I have in my jacket, and then my little bag that I take, because it just sucks to be stuck at the top of the mountain with you feeling like crap. For me, this is largely for me and not my children. They're fine. But if you're a mom and your children are feeling like this and you're stuck and you don't have anything, it sucks. So these are good things to do before and also during if you need to. You can redo the Ipratropium, dose it up to 3 times a day. And for that particular nose spray, I do recommend seeing an allergist and talking about this situation and problem, because not every doctor is aware of Ipratropium and how it can be used for situations specifically like this. But allergists are good, very good for this, even if it's not a true allergic problem.
I agree. Ipratropium is the secret sauce anytime you're drippy, which a lot of people think is due to allergy, but usually that clear, drippy, runny is non-allergic every time. So ipratropium is the go-to. The other thing, like when we think about people that like to be outdoors, is you're outdoors other times of the year too. And the warm weather months are when we get more of the allergy symptom. And thinking about how we would treat those symptoms, pre-treating is one of the main things we talk about here on Allergy Actually is immunotherapy. And if you are on the go and like traveling for skiing or sports, golf, whatever, intralymphatic immunotherapy or ILIT is one of the best, most convenient things you can think about for reducing your allergy symptoms before you go.
I agree with that. And even if you make the decision not to do ILIT, seeing an allergist and talking about the options that are available, because ILIT is definitely the fastest. We all are ILIT providers and are big proponents of it. But there are also other ways. There are drops that most of us do that can be done under your tongue. There's an allergy toothpaste. There are regular allergy shots, which a lot of us provide as well. So doing some kind of immunotherapy is a great option, but ILIT is definitely the fastest. So right now, say every single time you have fall season, and we'll say it's that time whenever my family starts thinking about planning ski trips, but say you always get issues in the fall, planning now to do that and to be hopefully healthier when you do it and decreasing baseline inflammation in general. Say if you're allergic to something like dust mite, it's present year round and it makes you have an inflamed baseline. And if we're able to treat that with ILIT or another immunotherapy, it just makes all of that less severe whenever you have other exposures.
It lowers your baseline chronic inflammation.
Yeah, because it's that mixed rhinitis issue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other quick plug I'm going to put in is our eyes. The snow is very bright, so making sure it can be windy. So having eye protection and or even often we won't necessarily need allergy eye drops. Those might be counterproductive. You may want to just have some re-wetting drops. And there are now, I love preservative-free options. For a long time, preservative-free options just came in these little single serving little vials. But now there are some multi-dose vials that are bottles that are preservative-free. But having that, your sunglasses and or if you're on the slope, ski goggles, really important just as we're thinking about all of our head and neck and our sunscreen too, as we're thinking about our skin.
That is a great point. I always sunscreen, even if it's a blizzard and we're snowing. My kids are like, what? I'm like, sorry, you have to have sunscreen. The other thing would be also, I just thought of this, with our ski gear, now that we use it more frequently than like when I was a kid, we would get to go once a year or something like that. Back then, we would literally just pop it out of the boxes that we had stuck in the attic and it was a hot mess. And I don't know that it ever got washed in retrospect. Possibly my parents did that, but we would all come home, put it up and wait till the next time we got to go or the next time there was a big snow. But I recommend to wash your gear whenever you get it in the washer and dryer, just according to the cycle that's suggested for what you wear, because that is going to accumulate dust mite, especially if it sits all year round and then never gets washed, which, I mean, let's be honest, there are probably other families aside from mine who did that.
Yeah.
So we try to do that. I try to keep up with that now, but it's something to think about.
Is saline rinse. So I feel like we talk about this intermittently in different episodes, but it's great for allergic and non-allergic rhinitis. So if you, before the slopes, months before, you've done your immunotherapy for treating allergies, and now we're day of the slopes and we're not worried about allergies, we're worried about non-allergic rhinitis. We're using our ipratropium before we go out, and then we're back at the hotel or our cabin for the end of the day, and we're just like, oh, I have so much mucus. We're going to use that saline rinse to rinse everything out.
It's a good point. The afterburn of skiing and doing activity outdoors with the cold. Yeah, that's something to think about too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys, everyone, for listening to this. If you found that you enjoyed it or you think that it's something that someone else would enjoy, please hit like. Let us know in the comments exactly what you like to do to help prepare, or if you have any questions we might be able to comment on. So share this with another ski-loving parent who's tired of the first day snot storm, or if you are like me, having the first day snot storm yourself, and doing a lot of prep and having background information about what you need to do well before you ever go skiing. It can change the whole trip.